Hi everyone, Amy here with amyswares, and today I'm going to make a batch of cards with cutout words. So this will make sense. I'm just showing you the packages. I have 4 of a very similar concept here, but I'm going to show you how I want to create with them today. Now, some of these I know could actually cut through both sides of the cardstock, but here's a photo of the finished cards to show you the direction that we're headed. But I'm just going to show you kind of an example from each section, I guess, to show you how I did this, but I won't keep you here all day to show you how I compiled all 4. So basically I'm using the T-square there to kind of line it up, which I think got crud all over my card, and this first one ultimately was a bit of a train wreck, so I did end up recutting this one. Now these are kind of listed for funky sizes, like 4x6 or something like that, but what I'm working on is a US A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½, and all 4 of these work, assuming you turn it horizontally. Now here's the first mistake. My sandwich wasn't great. I smushed it to the high heavens, so I got indentations from the tape, and it was a hot mess from the beginning. So this shows you what it does, but with a little bit of tweaking, it'll be fine. I did have an easier go with the next cards when I kind of fixed my sandwich and was more strategic with the placement of the tape. Here you can see I didn't have it lined up perfectly, so I had that little tiny edge. I just snipped that off. So again, this works fine with a USA 2 size, assuming you turn it sideways. Here I'm showing you a different one where I got smart and I did the tape within where it was going to be die cutting the pieces out anyway, so it didn't end up leaving indentations, and it was much neater. Plus I did end up switching to new cutting plates while I was doing this because mine were just so very warped. So here's the ones that I cut out. You can see they're actually quite sturdy on their own, maybe not the ones with the scripty font as much, but you could actually probably leave them without a backer. But I wanted to add the interest and the color of the pattern paper as a backer, so that's why I'm deciding to create them this way. So I'm searching through my folders. These are all my scrap folders. I find that this system works really well for me. I tend to gravitate and use up these scraps rather than reaching for new pieces of pattern paper. So if you're looking for a system, maybe consider color-coded folders like this. And maybe just reach for that color family if you're looking for your scraps. So I find that that really works. Now here I use tape runner around the kind of thicker portions and then liquid glue on the letters themselves. You can use liquid glue for the entire thing, but I don't like that it kind of leaves lines, like if the glue kind of comes through, so that's why I only used it where I had to, if that makes sense. So you can see I just used it the full front side of the card, so you could use just a smaller strip of pattern paper if that's all you have, but I did 4¼ by 5½ inches on all these. Now I'm using some of the stamps that came with these. I got these all on clearance. I don't know if they're still available. I'll link them if they are. I think they kind of yellow with time. I haven't actually used these yet. They just kind of yellowed within the package. I think they are actually photopolymer. They felt good. They didn't feel like silicone or anything like that. And they stamped just fine. So here I was originally using lumberjack plaid, but I realized that was too red. And I'm actually test stamping it on a piece of acetate. So this is a tip. If you're not sure if it's lined up straight or if the color is going to work, stamp first on a piece of acetate and save yourself time. Now here I came back with fired brick, and that was a much better match for the cardstock on this one. So again, I'm testing it to make sure it looks good, and then I will remove the acetate and then stamp it down right on the card base. So what you're seeing here is a 120-pound accent opaque. So it's a nice thick cardstock. That's why it's nice and sturdy. So I would definitely recommend that if you're doing a die like this, just so it's as sturdy as possible. And then obviously the pattern paper isn't quite as thick, but it does give it just that little extra bit of stability. So here I stamped that one, and then I'm going to stamp it a couple times just to make sure it's a nice even stamping all the way across the sentiment. And then here I'm picking my blingage. I was going to go all different colors. And I even picked out some that would have matched, like a gold for this one, but then I got sidetracked and I ended up putting the white on all of them. And so then I was like, oh, I'm just going to do the white for all 4. So it wasn't actually intentional, but I did use glossy white, and obviously it worked for all 4. And here are the finished cards. So I used a little strip on the inside of some extra that had been cut off so it didn't go to waste. So it was another way to use up some of the pattern paper and kind of add some interest onto the inside of the card. But like I said, I did use that glossy white. Those are all bling from A Colorful Life Designs. I have a coupon AmyFan10 if you want any bling or stencils or anything in that shop. So be sure to use that at checkout. But here's the finished cards. You can see that that was a two-sided pattern paper, so that had that nice little design element inside. So hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. I'll link anything that's still available below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.